evening, everyone. My job this evening is just to take us all through Jacinta's story. And I suppose, Jacinta, what I was thinking was if we could start at the very beginning, because as they say, it's a very good place to start. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about your life so far?
Okay, my name is Jacinta Dixon, and I was born in Dublin. I lived abroad for a long time. My husband went to work in Kenya, and we lived there for 25 years. I had our children there, and then came back home to Dublin, and went to college, got myself a degree, and settled back into Ireland as my home, and was very happy there.
Yeah, you say 3 children and a degree, easy. I'd love to go in to talk to you more about Africa, because I'm sure it was a fascinating time, but that will have to wait for another AlzTalks evening. You came back to Ireland, and I know you said you got your degree, and you also went back to work in the disability sector. And it was around that time, a couple of years into that work, that you started to notice some changes. Could you tell me about that?
Yeah, I'd been working with the disability organisation for about 11 years, thereabouts, I'm not quite sure. And I'd been working there for quite a long time, and I was very happy there. I really enjoyed the work, and I enjoyed I suppose the variety of disabilities rather than one specific disability. And I really enjoyed the work there. But after sort of about 8, 9, 10 years, I can't remember exactly really, but I began to, I knew I had problems. I wasn't working up to my standard. I had problems in work, and eventually I had to leave because I just wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And that was it was a real struggle for me, because I really loved the work, but I knew I wasn't up to standard. And I was also just aware that there was something not quite right, but I just couldn't put a finger on it at all, really.
Yeah. And it was around that time you spoke to your daughter to ask her, had she noticed anything?
Yeah, I spoke to my daughter, and to be honest, my children said no, that they hadn't really particularly noticed anything. But then, having spoken to them about it and just said, well, look, this was what was happening, they started to look back and think about things that what might have been going on. And so we went to Beaumont Hospital, which was my area at the time, and I was subjected to an absolutely rigorous set of examinations of all kinds. There were absolutely amazing people there in the Beaumont Hospital, and they did a huge amount of work with me for about, I don't know, 8 months, maybe even longer, but it went on. And eventually they concluded that it was Alzheimer's, and that they would make a confirmation by sending me to St. James's Hospital, where the diagnosis was confirmed. So, yeah.
And I can't imagine what that must be like. Is there words that come to you, or feelings that kind of reliving that time that come to you now? What were your thoughts and feelings when you heard those words?
It's a mixture of stuff, really a mixture. I was, I am a person who just says, get on with it. Just get on with it. But on the other hand, it was still there. It's not, the idea of it was not nice. The idea, even though I didn't feel any different, I was still going about my business. I was still doing all my stuff. I was just going. So for me, it was as just, let's go on, just go on as normal and just work through as much as possible, really.
It's like what Kevin said earlier, you know, suddenly the label is put on you and, you know, you have to live with that and adjust to that. But
that's exactly it. And so you suddenly become a non-person, or a person with a different label, instead of being the same person who maybe now just needs a little extra support.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you talk about support, and I know that when you were diagnosed, that the team, that the medical team, and so for instance the occupational therapist, can you talk about some of the changes that you made with their support?
Yeah, I was having real difficulties with cookers and with simple things like how to figure out how to put the heating the heating level on the cooker, how to remember to close the off the doors at night and windows and all sorts of things. And they gave me all sorts of little tips and hints and little labels to put on things and stuff, and that was really, really useful, you know, to have a place where everything, you know, always put your phone there, always. Now, it doesn't always work like that, but in theory, it's a really, they really did give me some really, really good ideas, so that really was helpful.
I suppose one of the big changes you had to make was a move.
Yeah, that was a big one.
That was a big one.
That was a big one. I was living over on the north side of the city, near Malahide to Howth's direction, not quite there, actually on the north side, but anyway. And I loved the area. I was able to go off out there and go to the sea and go to the mountain, go to the Howth's into the hills and things like that. But it seemed obvious that it would make sense for me to go out and stay closer to my family. Two of my children were living in Clondalkin, and so I moved to Clondalkin and managed to find a little place close to my daughter, 5 minutes away, and about 7-8 minutes from my son and their family. And that was really, to have that, to be so close there was really, really good, yeah.
And I see a picture behind us of your absolutely gorgeous
grandchildren. My monkeys.
Yeah, they really are gorgeous. And I know one of the things that the eldest one, Ruby, does is, can you tell us?
Ruby does my
very
makeup.
Special job.
Ruby does my makeup. Ruby comes in and tells me if I've got something that's not matching, and Ruby is 8.
I think we can all spot Ruby. She's
fashionista there. 8 or 9, not actually sure, she could be 9. And then the youngest one down there in the corner is...
Oh, that one.
That's that one there is Rachel, and that's Rachel's sister, and Ollie's over there.
They sounded like a grand
and that's
crew.
me in the middle. Yes, that's them. And they're great.
Yeah,
They're
what a great
huge.
job.
They call me Dementia Lady. That was given to me by my niece in the States. I was on holiday with them this year, and she said, "The Dementia Lady." Now my children with my grandchildren are now calling me Dementia Lady, and they say, if I'm getting in a bit of a tizzy, they'll say, "Are you being Dementia Lady today, Granny?"
What a great job, though, Ruby has. We all need a Ruby in our life, I think, to put on our makeup. I suppose as well, we talked earlier on today, and I was really struck by, you know, people say, "Aren't you grand, and aren't you getting on, and look at you," and, you know, you have Ruby doing the makeup. But actually we talked about some of the challenges that nobody sees. And I don't know, could you tell us a little bit about that we talked about today, you know, the house? And
Yeah. I suppose I moved from a bigger house into a smaller house, which I was very happy to do, except I'd forgotten about all of the problems that come with years and years and years of memorabilia, clutter, all those books I was going to read. I can't read anymore. I've got kind of a dyslexia. I can't read or write. And so no books to read, and the paper book that you can hold up in your hand. And my house is just chaos, absolute chaos. And it's a real struggle to try and to get to sort of organise. And that in itself brings such stress and such there are times I just sit and I don't even realise I'm crying with the stress of trying to get rid of things that I really don't want to get rid of because they're part of my life. And it's a really difficult thing, even though you have to be realistic, this has to be done. But that's one of the big issues I've really got at the moment. It's a huge struggle. And things like cooking. I mean, I used to really enjoy cooking a lot, baking, cooking, whatever. And those skills have gone now because I can't measure and I can't. I forget things. And I made a casserole the other day, a sausage casserole. Made it sort of three for 3 sort of days, so that I'd have plenty for put them in the freezer and do all that sort of thing. And delighted with myself. Everything went in, all the sauce, all the things for the gravy, and all the sauces and everything, and the sausages. Cut them up, everything. Put them. Then as I took them out, I thought something not quite right. And when I opened it up, I'd used all these beef and sauces and stuff, and stock cubes and all sorts of things. But I'd put chicken. I'd put fish into the soup, into the fish casserole. So. Oh.
In another country, that could be a delicacy.
Well, I did try it. Trust me, it wasn't a delicacy.
I suppose even when you talk there about the house, and these are the unseen stresses, and I think Kevin really kind of articulated that earlier as well. Things that do go on behind the scenes that make things that much more difficult. Another thing we talked about earlier was tea, and I think you kind of, when you heard the news, and you kind of thought, I don't want to be the person that somebody just comes and just drinks tea with me.
Yeah. I mean, I love tea. I love my tea, but people, and then I also don't mind telling that I have dementia. I don't say it if I don't need to, but if there's some reason that would make me feel it might be good to tell somebody. People will say, God love you, sit down and have a cup of tea. And of course, that's lovely, but I sometimes think it's the answer they have because they really don't know what to answer. Mm-hmm. And I think in the background there is that stigma. There's something not right. Mm-hmm. It's rather than it's just something that this is something that happens to people, and don't just say, sit down and have a cup of tea. That's great, but there's more to be said, and there's more to be thought out, and there's more to be spoken of, and there's more to be done, and there's more support to be given.
And it's that more that I want to kind of close out with you about. Mm-hmm. Your more became the Irish Dementia Working Group. Would that be correct to say?
Absolutely.
Kevin alluded to it earlier as well. Being part of the Irish Dementia Working Group, why was it important to you to get involved?
At that point, just before I'd started there, I really felt as if I was a non-person. That a lot of things that I wanted to do before I found really difficult to do, might have needed supports to do. My family, who were absolutely amazing, but they they're young children, and they're all working, and you all know what that's like. And when this happened, when I was asked if I would like to, through somebody in the Alzheimer's Society, I was asked if I would like to get involved in this group. It was just after the first section, I just knew it was going to give me my life back again, give me something that would show that I can put out there that we still have a life, and that all we need, well, not all, but one of the things needs, and one of the important things that we need is our families, our friends, and those who care about us.
And I think one of the things we talked earlier as well was that purpose. We all need a purpose.
Just have a purpose, and to know that I still am valued. I mean, we know we all should be valued, but somehow the value seems to turn into a caring, in many cases, a caring that is just a sit down and be quiet. Not in a nasty way, but people have more to offer. They have much more to give. They have much more still of good in their lives and in their societies, and local society particularly.
Yeah, and I think I suppose if there's one message for us this evening, it's to how do we explore that with somebody and reach out, because as you can see this evening, you have a lot more to offer and a lot more to give, I think. Thank you so much, Jacinta. You made my job so easy.